in all four of them.
Good evening and welcome to Connection Cafe, MoreYoga's Connection Cafe. And this episode is called Yoga Journeys. My name is Yvonne O'Garro, and I'm a yoga teacher with MoreYoga, teaching restorative and hatha yoga. And Connection Cafe was started literally a year ago in the start of lockdown, way for us to connect. And then in the light of the killing of George Floyd and the Black Lives Matter protest, I was asked to create a space. And the space I decided to come up with was this space where I showcase yogis of color. I ask them the same 10 questions, but the answers are also different. So it's a way of showcasing, a way of amplifying melanated voices. So today I have the pleasure of introducing Astra Farquharson. Welcome,
Thank you
Astra.
so much. Thank you.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Very pleased to be here. For you to ask me on to this platform.
I'm thrilled to have you on board. So before we get stuck into the questions, I like to ask the yogi in the hot seat to introduce themselves. So if you were in a lift with someone, in the days when we can get back in lifts and, be with other people, if you had that 30-second lift pitch to introduce yourself to somebody in a lift, how would you introduce yourself?
Okay, yeah. All right. So are you going to time me?
No.
Well, I'm Astra Farquharson, but you can drop the Q and just call me Astra Farquharson. Okay. And I'm a mum of two. I've got beautiful young children. My son is 10 and my daughter's 14, and I've been enjoying the pleasure and the pain of homeschooling and entertaining pre-nagers over this period. I haven't got to what I do yet, do I? But this is what I do. This is what I do. I look after my kids first and foremost. But in terms of what I do yoga-wise, I'm the founder of Therapy Yoga. And I'm also a mindfulness mentor for well-being in the workplace. I do training courses for stress reduction and for really helping with performance in the workplace. And I started Therapy Yoga was about 6 years ago now, specifically around advocating gentle style mindfulness-based yoga, because I came to yoga not being able to move much. I'm a stiff yogi. I call myself a stiff yogi. And there wasn't a lot of classes like that. So that's me.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So workplace yoga, now this is slightly off key, but it's really interesting you talk about workplace yoga, especially right now with the whole pandemic. And I'm sure people were very, very thankful for workplace yoga. So do you work with lots of different organizations?
I have done, and it kind of flowered out of offering workshops, because I also have a part-time job working in my local community. I work with vulnerable families, but there was this rumor around my organization that I did yoga and I did mindfulness, and it was sort of like, oh, well, we can use your resource. So I started doing training for staff, and from there I kind of incorporated that into my business as well, because it was something that staff found very useful. So yeah, it's one of the things that's blown up since COVID. And
definitely
demand, because most organizations usually, I suppose, would put well-being quite low. I don't know, you could tell me, because you came from HR, so you kind of know where well-being was on the spectrum of priority, but it definitely is high up there now. So I have worked with a variety of private sector and public sector organizations, and it's something that I've got a few projects coming up with as well.
Excellent. Yeah. The well-being agenda was shifting, I have to say. It was starting to shift just as well, even just before I left, nearly a year ago now. It was starting to shift because, you need healthy employees to be productive. And if they're not healthy and well, in all parts of their life, it is going to affect the performance. And I think organizations got switched onto that and started to invest. And now it's like, there's no way they can't.
There's not. And there's some real specific issues that have come out of this situation at the moment, which is things like sleep, you know, and motivation. Because it's all well and good working from home, but that we've got working from home with social isolation.
Yes.
And so that just brings a lot of other things. So those are the kind of themes that are coming up quite consistently.
Absolutely. Love the t-shirt, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Do you like it?
Love it. Love it.
You could just see that it's therapy yoga. I've got
I can see it. I can see it. It's great. Great. Love the branding. Lovely.
Thank you.
Okay, so are you ready now to step into the yoga journeys questions?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so kicking off. Honoring our ancestors, please tell us your family lineage.
Okay, so my family, I'm a third generation Caribbean British person, human being. My grandparents on both sides came from the Caribbean. So on my paternal side was Jamaica, and on my mum's side it was Dominica. So little known island, Dominica. A lot of people get it confused with Dominican Republic.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Marvelous. And so moving on, where, when, and with whom was your first yoga class?
Yeah, and I remember it really well because I didn't actually know what yoga was, to be honest. It was something that was recommended to me over 20 years ago by a GP, because as I said before, I came to yoga with a medical condition. I've got a condition called lupus, which is very prevalent within the Caribbean community, and I think other communities as well. And it was very debilitating. So there was a lot of chronic pain, a lot of, I would say, life-limiting symptoms. And I was on a concoction of medication, and I was very young and just thought, I can't live my life like this. What can you do? You know, and they said to me at the time, well, we've given you as much legally in terms of pain relief that we can give. We can't legally give you anything more. But this doctor said to me, you might try yoga. And I was like, well, what's that? And he said, well, it's a form of exercise, but some of my patients have really benefited from it. So I walked along to my first yoga class, and it was Tara Fraser. Some people may know, have heard of Tara Fraser.
I've heard of her, yeah.
So she's at the time, she was kind of a leading light in yoga. She's written lots of books on yoga, and I didn't know who she was, but what I did know was that I couldn't do much in the class, but she led the class as if every single person in the room was equal. And that's kind of what I
inclusive yoga 20 years ago. That's
yoga
amazing.
20 years ago. She made me feel like sitting in Sukhasana for the whole class was perfectly fine.
Wow.
You know?
Wow.
Just sitting cross legs, you know, and I sometimes I couldn't, I had to get a chair. Was just as valid a yoga pose than any other yoga. So for me, my kind of coming into yoga, it was almost like I didn't really know what perfect yoga is, or you know, the importance of asana, which it became very clear when I started to go through different classes, because I, you know, it's like a drug. When I started getting into it and meditating in the class and doing pranayama, I realized this thing was really helping my mental health.
That's great.
But also I was finding that I didn't have to take as much medication.
That's great.
And too many M's. And so for me, my yoga experience was very much about yoga is for an individual. So it didn't feel like a class. So for what I feel now is that, and I think it's moving a little bit forward, is that yoga in the UK, I can't talk for any other country, is very much a class-based system. Most people are introduced to yoga through classes.
Yes.
And what it felt like when I started my yoga class with Tara was that it was a one-to-one, but everyone else happened to be there.
Yeah, like a group one-to-one almost.
It was like a group one-to-one.
Yes,
right.
Yes.
And, so, and then when I started to go to other classes, I was like, well, this doesn't feel right, you know. So that was so I had a really positive introduction to yoga.
That sounds awesome. And you know what? Props to your GP. 20 years ago as well, your GP recommending yoga. Do you think your GP practiced why they recommended it?
I don't know, because you know they're very cautious.
Yes.
You know, they
Yes.
make recommendations and they can't say what they do. But I'm wondering whether that GP did have a practice.
Maybe, because I just think so long ago it's only, you know, latter days it's you know, recommended by the NHS, but to hear 20 years ago, whoa, that's pretty awesome.
It's pretty
Thank
powerful.
you. Yeah, thank you for sharing. So you're doing Tara's classes. So what year was that? What year?
Oh gosh. So
20 years ago.
2000, it was 2001 or yeah,
Okay,
or two.
okay.
Yeah, 2000.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Literally, yeah, okay. So how long after Tara's classes do you then realize you want to start teaching yoga?
Well, I've only been a teacher since 2013.
Okay. Not only, that's a long time.
It's a long
Mine
time.
Is only 2017.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was a while, but if you
2019, beg your pardon.
it was a good. Well, yeah. So my teacher training started in 2013, but with the British Royal, you teach as a student as well. So officially, so officially, 2015 was when I became a quote unquote qualified
teacher,
quote unquote qualified teacher. So it was over 10 years of practice before I made a decision to become a teacher.
Okay. And can you recall what it was that led you to become a teacher?
Yes. So Tara, after teaching, and I'm from North London originally, so I was introduced to Tara in Islington, and then she left that space that she was teaching and then set up her own yoga studio in Crouch End, which I think she still has. So because she moved, I then found other yoga teachers and did all kinds of yoga, Ashtanga yoga, I just started to dabble for years, and it was really just about my own personal development and my own way of managing pain and at the time pain-related stress, I would say. But moving kind of 10 years on, after having 2 kids and really having a rough time at work, put it this way, a really rough time with work stress and pressure at work, it didn't feel like having a high profile city career was benefiting my health, and I had a few health lapses. And so after having my second child, I had a situation where I was losing my eyesight.
Wow. Okay.
Due to my condition, and I think it was due to pregnancy as well, because people with lupus, there's a lot of risk around having children.
Wow.
And so after that, and added with that work stress, I thought I have to find something that aligns with a healthy lifestyle. But at the time there wasn't really many things that you can do to earn money, proper money, with your responsibilities and align with what's in your heart and my kind of new yoga outlook on life. But so I thought about teaching, and I reached out to Tara, and we hadn't seen each other probably about 8-9 years.
Wow.
And I said, I'm thinking about teaching. I don't know whether it's for me. And she said, funny enough, I'm doing a foundation course, British School of Yoga foundation course. Maybe come and do 6 months of that course and just see at the end of it whether you want to become a teacher. And I'd made the decision, and this was after my child, so I was on maternity. So I made the decision during that course that I wasn't going to go back to work.
Amazing decision, because it's not an easy decision to come to. So well done you.
It wasn't, but also I didn't want to become a yoga teacher after the foundation course. I just thought this is like too much, because I just thought yoga was postures, and I was just like, we're getting way too deep for me, So at the end of it, I said to Tara, thank you, I've really enjoyed the foundation course, but it's not for me. Not for me. And I actually was thinking about another type of career, which was completely different, but still kind of would help me balance my life. It just wasn't what I was doing. And then I fast forwarded to going to some yoga classes with some of my friends, and they kept on saying, well, I'm not quite sure what the teacher's saying. And after yoga, we would discuss it. And I'd say, well, this is what we're doing and why we're doing it. And they said, well, you seem to know a lot about this stuff. You need to teach
Suddenly
yoga.
you've absorbed it and didn't even realize.
Yeah. So they said, you need to teach yoga. And I was like, oh, no. And they go, you know what we're going to do? We're going to stop going to yoga and you're going to teach us. So I then started to teach my friends in one of my neighbours' living room every week, rather than us going to the yoga class.
Yeah.
And then they said, you need to do this. This is no, we're not joking with you. You need to become a teacher.
Amazing.
And because I had that kind of personal feedback, I thought, okay, let me think about it. Let me see how this would work. And luckily, fortunate for me, I had a partner at the time that, you know, I could make those decisions, because becoming a yoga teacher is not a good financial decision. It's not, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not,
but it feels right there. You might not have it there, but it feels right
exactly.
there. Yeah,
so I felt I had a little bit of backup from my partner, so I made the decision to do it. But it's not been easy, you know. And what kind of I noticed about a lot of yoga teachers, you know, I don't know if this is the case now. I don't think it is. It's that the yoga space has changed so much. But there was a lot of women teachers who didn't have money problems.
Right.
That's what I was observing.
Right. Okay.
So, you know, so they were quite happy being teachers, and but I was not coming from that place at all. So I had to kind of make it more of a business and apply what I know from my previous career to yoga, and it kind of takes the fun out of it sometimes, you know, to actually do that, to make like proper money out of yoga.
Yeah. We need to eat.
We need to eat. We do need to eat. And we need not only that, we need to feel resourced. You know, you can't. What can you give
when you're pour from an empty cup, as the saying goes?
You can't. So it is. But it's not and what I'm finding from when I started teaching yoga and making it a kind of income is that a lot of people who were coming up were already very good at business.
Right.
And applying it to yoga.
Yes.
And so that, you know, then felt like, well, I need to become good at business in order to teach yoga. And it was just like, this is becoming really complicated, you know.
Was your observation they were good at business because they, like you, come from corporate background already? Yeah.
And I had a corporate meltdown, you know.
Yeah. So that you're coming in, with this other expertise to apply. Okay, so where did you then do the teacher training?
Okay, yes, so I then did my teacher training with Elaine Fletcher. I don't know if you have heard of Elaine Fletcher. She's in Colchester.
Okay.
British Will teacher. And that was 3 years of teacher training. And I would say it was the highlight of my yoga journey.
Wow.
If I'm honest, it really was, because Elaine's a very special, very, very special teacher as well.
Is she still practicing now? Still teaching?
Yeah, she's still teaching. I think.
Amazing. I'll check her out.
Yeah, I think she's been teaching for maybe 30 years.
Wow. Amazing.
But her the way she teaches is very much about the functional anatomy, so moving in a way. And so for me, that was really important, because the priority wasn't pitch perfect postures. It was
Absolutely.
really about intuition and moving in a way that is very natural. And she's got a very compassionate approach as well to teaching. So yeah, Elaine is, if you're watching, you're great.
You need to send her this recording.
I'll send her the link.
Wonderful. So how many people were on the training? Can you remember?
About 18 of us.
18, okay. And of the 18, how many were of colour?
Oh, well, I was the only one. You know this. This.
I don't know. I know it's a low number, but I don't know if just you.
But you know this.
Okay, just you.
Yeah, Yeah. So I was the only one, and there was somebody who was I think she was from China originally.
Okay. So
But
two of
other
you
than
then
that,
of color. Yeah.
of color,
Yes.
as if you like, that
Two.
melanated. There was nobody else that was melanated.
Okay.
Let's say that.
Wow. Okay. So now we move on to the highs and lows of the wellness industry. And that's whatever it means to you. All I would ask is you start with your lows and then we end with any highs. That's assuming you have highs as well as lows. So your thoughts on wellness industry when I say highs and lows, what comes to mind, if anything?
Well, I have an issue with the fact that a lot of, let's say, London yoga studios feel exclusive to a certain income bracket. And that grates on me a lot.
Right.
Because, you know, my previous career was very political. I was involved in politics. And one of the reasons I got into politics was because I wanted to affect change for people who kind of need supporting. You know, that's the reason to get into politics, that actually you need to be the guardians and ensure that the systems are in place to help the people that need it the most. And so when I think about yoga, I think about it being a very it's wisdom for everyone,
Yes.
but in particular it is so powerful for people who either don't see their own resource or need resourcing. And so when I go to studios who offer brilliant, you know, timetables and teachers and all of this, and really the only people that can access it are people that are not lacking any resources at all, it bothers me. Okay. And so when because, you know, I've had times where I've, you know, actually budgeted to go to some of these sessions and these studios, and when I go there I don't feel like I'm wanted, and I don't feel like I belong there, and I feel it's actually one of the only times when I go to some of these studios that I feel othered. You know, and actually a lot of people say they feel like that in workspaces, but I've always kind of worked in either policy or public affairs, local councils, where actually everyone there are there to help everyone, and so I don't actually feel that so much. But where I kind of was feeling a little bit like I felt when I was 8 years old was in these exclusive yoga studios. And it left, and you asked me before, you know, what motivated you to start yoga. I think it was, in a way, in the back of my head, thinking about, well, actually the space needs to change, and I have to be part of that. And that's kind of the way I am.
Because that's your background in some respects, to affect the change. To
affect change, yes. Right, and you know, and so I think that's why I feel I need to represent, you know, a different style of teacher, but also I need people to feel that yoga's for everyone.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely. So I'm not going to name any studios. No. You probably know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I think we kind of know. So those are your lows. What are your highs?
Well, I think I mentioned that, you know, my first experience with my first yoga teacher and my teacher training. Again, it was a space where at no point did I feel othered in any way.
Excellent.
You know, which and it was such a deep training. And one of Elaine's things is really embedding yoga philosophy in your teaching. You know, forget about the how, it's all about the why. Excellent. You know, so a lot of my teaching, I start with the why. I don't even think about asana. I don't think about posture. I'm just
absolutely.
Why today? What is the why today? Absolutely. Why are we doing this? And what are we trying to cultivate? Excellent. And that was her teaching, and it gave me so much as a person.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing. So what's your one ask of the wellness industry?
Oh gosh, it's a big so the wellness industry generally, just the
or you know, from what you've mentioned, what would be your one ask? You don't have to have one, but if there's something that comes to mind that you know, to affect the change, what would you want them to do?
Well, I think if you're talking about yoga, there's one thing in yoga studios, but wellness generally, I think I'm not sure because I think it's too general for me. Am I allowed to dodge the question?
You can dodge all you want. This is your journey.
I think it's too general for me. I think that there are specific things that yoga, you know, large yoga studios, and you know, to give them a little bit of slack, they do also need to make money. And the best way to best way to make money is from people with money. So I understand their challenge.
The easy way, the quick way.
The quick way, the quick way. I understand their challenge. But what I would say is that they need to be checking themselves, checking, you know, cultural appropriation. They need to be checking who's accessing their services. They need to be checking their language. They need to be checking themselves. That's my ask. Just check yourself.
Check yourself. Love it. Love it. Okay, you heard it here. Astra said, check yourself, yoga studios. Okay, so here we are, Monday, 22nd of February, where the Prime Minister is just announcing he's lifting, or whatever he's going to be lifting for this third lockdown. What has got you through each of the lockdowns? When I started this, it was just like, what got you through lockdown? But obviously we've now moved on.
Yeah.
And we're now in
through all of them. Well,
because it might be different, you know, one might have felt different, but just generally, how have you got through?
Well, when Amazon delivered my wine, that helped me the first time. If the wine went in the bag, take the shopping.
Amazon delivered your wine. Okay.
Where'd I get, you know, because that was an issue. No, seriously speaking.
It's interesting you get it from Amazon. We'll have to speak offline.
We need to talk about Amazon, really, because they seem to be a member of my family. We need to talk about this.
Okay.
We need to address the Amazon factor.
Okay.
No, but seriously speaking, I got back to self-study. That's the kind of thing that I think got me through reading, having the time to read, you know, audiobooks, that, you know, that was being able to have an excuse to leave the house, you know, leave the children, say I'm gone, you know, because I have to get my exercise and come back 3 hours later. Too much noise in the house, you know. So I would definitely say self-study. Just being there, because it's a luxury, isn't it? It's a luxury.
The time and space. You know,
and I don't know if you feel this, Yvonne, but I feel that I was even as a yoga teacher, on a rat race. I was doing so much, like it was almost nuts.
I wasn't quite there yet, because I had just leaving HR. So I was doing part-time HR, part-time yoga for about, I don't know, 6-9 months. And then with more yoga studios opening, I made the decision to go to full-time. And I left on the 10th of March. I see. And then obviously 16th of March, we knew what happened. So I wasn't yet full-time in the race. But anyway, enough about me.
But no, I get that now. So there's not that comparison in a way.
No, not yet. No.
But I look back at my pre-lockdown / corona life, and it seemed very chaotic.
Right.
So I think what got me through was it was the opportunity to step back a little bit and say, okay. Yeah. Okay. What are my values? What am I about? You know, that self-study and realign some of those values and check myself, you know. Let's not just tell other people to check themselves, you know, check how I was teaching yoga, because it does. And for those people who are watching who are yoga teachers or want to become yoga teachers, there is a fine line when you're trying to make money from yoga, when you become what you're criticizing.
Right. Okay. That's interesting. Yeah. So
you always got to check yourself, you know, when you can.
Yeah. Any tips on how to do that?
Any tips on checking yourself? Well, self-study, you know, and really, I mean, going back to
the source,
going back to your yoga philosophy.
That's
you
right.
know, going back to
Never forgetting.
just
Get
going
out
back.
Patanjali sutras. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I've gone back. I have a podcast that I kind of release every month, and this month I'm talking about the Upanishad, a particular Upanishad, and it was really nice to go back to that, to kind of inform what I was thinking and why I was thinking it. It was a really good reference point for me, and yeah, so going back to things like that.
Amazing. Is that on your Facebook page?
Well, I have, yeah. You can get a link to my podcast if you're on Instagram, on my link tree.
Okay, yeah, no, I'd love to listen to that, because I agree with you.
It's called Your Mindful Month.
Okay.
So every month I have a different theme, and I just ramble on. But I do try to bring yoga and mindfulness to the everyday kind of struggles.
Yes.
And so that's kind of the point of it. And it was my way of trying to keep a little bit real to the source of yoga, because sometimes when you get caught up in just teaching yoga, I mean, how much philosophy can you share in a class?
In an hour's class, that's right. Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you. So if you cast your mind back to the sad killing of George Floyd, may he rest in peace, can you remember on Insta or socials, do you remember getting lots of additional followers as people diversified their feeds?
A few, maybe not a huge amount, maybe a few, but there was stuff that surprised me after that period, good and bad, and there were lots of people that reached out to me in
studios or friends.
Not necessarily studios. One yoga school I was already doing some work with anyway. So in fairness to them, they'd already switched on to this subject before. But in my day job, there was lots happening. There was lots of workshops, and there were lots of Zoom meetings. I just remember there was a lot of Zoom meetings where people just wanted to learn more about different people from the African Caribbean or African community experience of injustice.
Yes.
In a way that I haven't experienced before.
No, nobody has. Nobody has. I think it touched their conscience, and I think that might be, part of his legacy, to just make the world sit up and realize what was going on. He couldn't hide anymore.
No, and it gave a space to talk about injustice generally as well.
Absolutely,
which was it was eye-opening for me. I think I have a different lens now myself. I have a different lens now, and I think a lot of people do.
Say more. What do you mean?
Well, you kind of default into what you know and what you're used to, and I kind of have a very set way of thinking. In a way, I do try to develop an open mind and ensure that I study and learn, but generally speaking, can't think I know what I'm about. But what this did, it gave me a completely different perspective on the world, that was unexpected to me, because to a certain extent, when you're looking at injustice, you do kind of look at it from your own perspective.
Right.
And for me, it really became a world issue,
absolutely.
It was for me, it was more than this narrow concept of racism. It was more than that. So it kind of broadened my lens on a lot of other things, so that's what I would say.
Cool, thank you. Okay, so now we move on to the whole promote yourself, what you got coming up, workshops, talks, books, Clubhouse. What you got coming up?
Oh,
What you got coming up?
That's what we need. We need another platform, don't we?
Listen, it's popping. Yeah, it's popping. Everybody's on it. So
oh gosh, it's too much. So what I do is I teach an online class, and it's very mindfulness based, mindful yoga, if you want to call it that. And so I do that on a Wednesday evening. I do one class a week because that's what I can manage with family life, and that's at 6 p.m. on a Wednesday, and people can book via my website, which is actually being rebuilt at the moment, but you can still get the link on the holding page to book the class. But if anybody just wants to try my class, just pop me an email and hop along. That's not a problem.
Wednesdays at 6?
Wednesdays at 6. So that's when my class is.
How long is the class?
Sorry, it's an hour.
Lovely. Okay.
Yeah, 6 to 7 on a Wednesday. And I think the things that are coming up for me at the moment, I'm looking at a project to move into teacher training. So that's quite exciting.
Excellent.
I want to really bring more philosophy into my teaching. So I qualified to be a Foundations of Yoga tutor. So I'm hoping to start that. It'll be a 6-month course. Amazing. In the Foundations of Yoga. So whether that happens, sorry?
With British Wheel or
it'll
independently?
Be a British Wheel, yeah. It's a British Wheel course, yeah. Okay. Whether that happens this year, I don't know, because it is an in-person course. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes.
That's exciting. Well done, you.
Thank you. And yeah, and I'm looking forward to maybe teaching outside. I don't know if we're going to.
I think it's on the timeline. I was just logging in, so I kind of missed the update. But yeah, I think
the update. Yeah, is it June? June?
It's about June. I think about June sometime. Yeah, it'll be on the news all night. So yeah, we can easily catch up. But,
and I've also been getting into coaching, personal coaching, kind of with yoga and mindfulness hat on. So I've been doing a few one-to-one coaching. So some organizations actually don't just want workshops, they want you to work with their either with their staff members individually. So that's come up, and so that's actually really rewarding, helping people go from
A to B. Absolutely. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's a sense of pride, isn't it?
Yeah. So and working with corporates are a little bit more lucrative than your weekly class. So
I hear you.
So looking, so a few things happening this year, and want to really do more podcasting as well. And the Clubhouse is just, thank you for introducing me to Clubhouse. I don't know whether to thank you or not yet.
You're very welcome. Yeah, it's addictive. I blame Donna Noble. Donna Noble has got me addicted to Clubhouse.
Oh, love Donna. If you're watching, Donna, hey, long time no see.
It's a very clever concept. There's some great conversations going on there.
Yeah, it pings a lot, Yvonne. It pings a lot.
Turn the notifications off. It's fine. Turn the notifications off. So before we open the floor to these lovely guests that are here tonight, thank you so much for joining. Do you have any final thoughts, comments, anything you want to build on, anything you want to add before we open the floor for questions?
I'm good. I'm
good.
Okay. I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to have people listening. And I know Maria's been watching since the beginning, so thank you, Maria. Good to see you. I'm open to questions.
Okay, so lovely guests, you're welcome to either come off mute and ask the question directly off mute on camera, or just off mute, or equally you can type it into the chat box if you prefer. So up to you, whatever you would like. I'm sure there must be one question out there. And also, if you're watching on catch up on demand, because this goes on to the MoreYoga YouTube site, as well as my own YouTube, and Astra put it on her own. If when you're watching on catch up and you have a question, please do type it into the comments box and Astra will respond.
Yeah, I did forget to say what my website is. So it's at therapyyoga.co.uk. So if people want to check, and as again, my website is in development at the moment, refreshing. I'm revamping it. But yeah, on Instagram I'm at Therapy Yoga, and on Facebook
Flash
I'm
your t-shirt.
at
It's disappeared. Lift your
Oh,
t-shirt.
has it? Sorry, I'm
there you
leaning
go.
forward.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm leaning forward. Yeah.
Therapy Yoga. Lovely. Yeah. Okay. So, guys, don't be shy. Any questions? Equally, I won't force you if there are no questions. We'll say good night and thank Astra for coming. But if there's anything you'd like to know, please type it or unmute. Oh, Maria's come off mute. I think Maria's going to ask a question. Maybe not.
We can't hear you, Maria. You have come off mute, but for some reason we can't hear you.
Ah,
oh
yes,
yeah, I
we
can hear you now.
Okay, I had you plugged in. Okay. I just wanted to say thank you very much. It was amazing just kind of getting another teacher's perspective where you came from, and you know, just getting to know other teachers for me was one of the reasons I joined today. And also because I also did my teacher training with Tara, so I know how amazing she is.
Ah, lovely, lovely.
Are you North London?
I'm a North Londoner. I am indeed.
So are you from Crouch End? I'm originally from Fern Park Road, so I'm right round the corner from Yoga Junction.
Are you? Oh, bless you. Well, my husband is actually from Crouch End. I'm from Southgate.
Ah, yeah, no Southgate.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, a little bit further towards Enfield. But yeah, that's how I got to know Yoga Junction, to be honest with you, because Chris was always pounding on about it, and I wanted to do my teacher's training. He said, well, they do it, and I'd only just had a kid and a little boy, and it was convenient, and also I couldn't have wished for a better teacher. Her and Tarek were amazing.
Oh, Tarek, yeah, I know Tarek as well. Fantastic. That must have been a brilliant training.
Oh, honestly, you know what you said about your teacher training being such an amazing journey? That's how it felt for myself as well. And I wasn't even planning to become a teacher. I just kind of went on it just to learn a little bit more about yoga, about the postures, about the anatomy, more about the philosophy, and quite a bit about myself, to be honest.
Yeah,
wonderful. Wonderful.
So can I ask, when did you finish your training? When did you start? Because I know she's in Devon now, isn't she?
Yeah, that's right. So she went off to Devon 6 months into a year into my training.
So you've finished now then, I imagine.
Yeah. I'm teaching at schools.
Fantastic.
I'm doing clubs, I'm doing classes, and I'm also doing mindfulness sessions with with Key Stage 1 and Key Stage 2 children. Trying to get myself into a few secondary schools that but obviously at the minute it's just shut down.
Secondary schools can be difficult because they lack.
Sorry, I've lost you.
Sorry, I lost you there, Maria. I lost you there.
Yeah.
Can I just check? Can I just ask a question?
I think it's my internet.
I can still hear you.
Okay, great. Well, yeah, I can hear you too.
Good. Yeah, we can hear you. It's that time of the evening. The world and his wife has got like 10 items connected to the Wi-Fi in one household.
I've actually got my little one in the shower, so I need to get him out and into bed.
Well, thank you for sharing.
Thank you so much for coming, Maria.
It's lovely to see
thank
you. Do connect. It would be lovely to connect with you.
I will. Thank you again. You look after yourself.
Take care.
You're most welcome.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Can I just double check? When you mentioned Yoga Junction, Yoga Junction, did they used to be in Finsbury Park before Crackhill?
Yes, she started in Finsbury Park.
That's where I first went to yoga.
Oh,
well, once because my original first teacher was Vicky Scarlett, who passed away 2012, I believe, 2012. And then because she was teaching in Enfield area in church halls, etc., etc. And then when I gave up the gym membership. I wanted to find a dedicated studio.
Yeah.
Yoga Junction in Finsbury Park. And then I think a couple of years later, they moved and went to Crouch
End.
Oh
yes,
my God.
yes. That's Tara's studio.
Oh my God, I didn't realise.
Yeah.
And what's the name of her partner?
Nigel Jones. He's an Ashtanga teacher.
That's right. Yes.
A brilliant Ashtanga
Oh my goodness.
teacher. Yeah.
There's another connection.
There's a connection. Yeah.
Yoga Junction. I was like, Yoga Junction. I didn't know that. Wow. Okay. So, sorry, coming back to questions.
Yes.
Are there any other questions? Otherwise, we'll let Astra go off into the night. I can see something in the chat box. Hold on. I think it was a little goodbye, I think. Have a little look. It was a thank you from Paula. She had to leave.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on board. Thank you so much.
I've loved it.
Yeah.
We have had a nice little laugh. I've loved it. Thank you so much. And I really appreciate the opportunity to talk about me.
It's good.
It's the best thing in the world.
It's great to talk about you. And I didn't check the timetable. I've got so many people coming up between now and the end of August when we finish this current series. I forgot to check who's coming up in 2 weeks' time. I'm sorry. Check the schedule. It's on the MoreYoga website. The next few weeks are there who's coming up. And yeah, more wonderful yogis of colour sharing their journey. But tonight, thank you so much, Astra, for sharing.
Thank you. And I honour you, Yvonne, for doing these series. This is amazing offering. And so, yeah, just thank you.
To thank MoreYoga, because you know what, they were the ones
and MoreYoga. So yeah, and MoreYoga.
They stepped up, and they could have quite easily like done a couple and just like let it slide, but no, they are committed, and they want to provide a platform. They want to amplify melanated voices. So
yeah, no, that's amazing.
I'm here because they wanted it. So
yes,
you know,
and I'm thanking me, but I'm thanking what they're doing as well.
Yeah, thank you so much.
All right, you take care. Thank you everyone for listening.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.